G'day and welcome back to the channel. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to install Cobra bucket seats to your Classic Mini. Now, before we start, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for all things DIY and mechanical to do with your Classic Mini. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is unpackage it. Now, this has been sitting around for a little bit, but the guys down at Mini Sport in South Australia sent them to me, so thank you very much, lads. We will clean it in another episode, but in today's episode, we're just going to be installing them into the car. So, as you can see down the bottom here, there are no holes, screws, bolts, anything protruding in order for us to mount the seat frame. So, what we need to do is find out where the holes are for the bolts to go. Now, for some reason, they only sent me 2 bolts per seat. In actual fact, we need 4. So, I do have some extra bolts that I got from work. So, what we need to do to begin with is to find out where the bolt holes are. So all you need to do is run your finger down either side of the seat rail and find out where the bolt holes are. So in this case, one is down the bottom here and the other one is up the top. So they're pretty much at the end of these lines on each side. So here's Tomo's tech tip. Instead of using a drill or a punch, a screwdriver, a pick, whatever, to put a hole in there, grab yourself a nice sharp razor blade and just draw across the small hole here. That way it'll give you enough room to put the bolt through. And then repeat that process 4 times. Alright, once you've got the 4 holes in there, grab your seat rails. Now, grab your seat rails and figure out which side goes on which side in the car. So this little hook here enables the seat to be moved back and forth for someone to get in and out of the back seat. So in our case, this is going to be mounted on the left in the passenger side and on the right in the driver's side. These are interchangeable depending on the country that you live in. From my understanding, that the ones in the UK need to be done in the complete opposite, in which they're fitted to a classic Leyland Mini here in Australia. So, what we need to do is find out where the mounting holes are for the seat frame. So we have a bolt hole here and a bolt hole here. There are 2 bolt holes, but we want to be using the larger one, otherwise the bolt won't go through it. So what we're going to do is mount the front 2 bolts first, then we're going to slide the rail back and then mount the back 2. So what we're going to be doing is using a piece of cardboard, a large sheet, a bit of plastic, whatever it may be, to lay the seat down. That way you're not going to damage it. So grab the seat, flip it upside down. If there's anything at the bottom, make sure you remove that first. So line the seat rail up with the bolt holes at the front and then put your bolt through. Now, like I've said on previous episodes, make sure that when you're fitting a bolt, you always put a spring washer followed by a flat washer. That way you can ensure that it's got something to bite against. Also, because this is a safety related part, we want to make sure that we use some decent grade Loctite. Just a little dab at the end is all you need. Line up the bolt holes and then tighten up the bolts. But you don't want to tighten them all the way, otherwise it's not going to line up at the back. Alright, so now that the 2 front bolts are in, we're going to push the tab down and we're going to slide it all the way to the front. Once it's slid all the way to the front, locate the 2 rear bolt holes and then tighten up the other bolts in the exact same manner you just did the front. Alright, so once all the bolts are in, then go and tighten up the rear. Once the rear is tight, move the seat frame all the way back and then tighten up the front. Alright, once the frame is installed on the seat, we can then go install it inside the car. So here we are in the interior. The Classic Mini has been put together and done in such a way that minimum to no tools are required to do some basic modifications to it. So in the standard case, you'll have 2 bolts with a wing nut on either side to remove the front seats, undo them, and out she comes. In our case, I've replaced that wing nut and bolt just with a standard nut and bolt. Now it has a hook at the back here, which enables the backseat passengers or backseat driver, depending if you have a missus or another kid, to be able to get in and out of the back seat. So that just locks in. So with our seats, we have 3 different seat positions. We can go low, middle, or high, and that enables the base of the seat to be raised up or down depending how tall you are or in which driving style you like. So in our case, we're going to face it all the way down. So what we're going to do is slide it into these 2 channels at the front here, move it at the furthermost back hole, put the bolt through, make sure that it's secured at the back. Once it's in, tighten it up, and Bob's your uncle. Always be careful putting seats in. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure that the lock is in at the back. That way I can ensure that we're not going to miss the latch whatsoever. Slide the seat all the way forward and lock it into position. And that's it. The last step you need to do is, besides give these things a clean, is adjust the seat position to where you're happy with and then tighten up all the bolts. And that's it for today's episode. That's how you install Cobra bucket style seats inside your classic Mini. Don't forget to use Loctite on all the bolts, adjust the seat to where you're happy, either being in the passenger seat or in the driver's seat, and then go and tighten all the bolts that secure the frame to the base of the Mini. Thanks heaps for watching, guys. Stay tuned, and we'll see you right here on another episode, Tomo's Tune Ups, all things DIY and mechanical.